Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little black subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that black subscribe button. Really does help our audience grow, really does help our channel grow, really does help and mean more than you could possibly know. So go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Also, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet 50 on any game, get $250 in free bets. Thank you again to Betfred. Thank you again to you. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Gears, and I want to keep the conversation going on all the transfer portal stuff. It is getting to be about that time, right? So the last probably 2, 3, 4 weeks, we've seen quite a few players enter the transfer portal for college basketball. And now really what we're starting to see, the cycle open, right after Selection Sunday, we're now starting to see players actually commit to their schools, and we're starting to get a better feel for what rosters are actually going to look like for the 2023-2024 season. I bring it up to say that in the last couple hours, we did have a major commitment from one of the best players currently in the portal. I am, of course, talking about Tramon Mark, spent the last 3 seasons as a member of the Houston Cougars. I love me those Cougars, baby. Love me those Cougars, but Tramon Mark, last 3 seasons at Houston, part of a Final Four team in 21, part of an Elite Eight team in 2022, even though he dealt with some injuries. And this past year was a big part of Houston's Sweet 16 team, which earned a #1 seed. Well, he entered the portal, also sort of entered the draft, but I don't think he's going to stay. But as I said, within the last couple hours, he did make his college announcement in terms of his transfer portal decision. And drum roll, please. Tramon Mark is headed to the Arkansas Razorbacks. Eric Musselman does it again. And I just got one question for you. Can anybody stop the Big Pig invasion? Link to t-shirts in the show bio below. But let's get into Tramon Mark, because I'll tell you this. I think he's just a really, really, really good college basketball player, right? He is a kid that, as I said, when he left Houston, decided to both enter the portal and enter the NBA draft. I can't speak to his NBA future, at least at this moment in time. But what I can say is exactly what I just said, a very good college basketball player. Big guard, about 6'5". He is a lefty, not a great shooter, but a very good scorer. Averaged 10 points per game over the last couple years. Keep in mind, Houston is not a place that scores. They had a good offense this year, but they're not getting up and down this and that. But 10 points per game, about 5 rebounds per game, a little over a steal and a half per game. And so you look at this guy, I just think he's kind of a very good new age wing player in college basketball. Not elite, not a great 3-point shooter, but he's super long, super athletic, can create for himself off the dribble, can create for others off the dribble. And oh, by the way, and I think this is an important part specifically for where he committed. He is a really good defender, a very active defender, a very willing defender. And the one thing that I truly believe, and we've talked about this with other commitments, specifically Keon Menafield, the first player as a transfer to commit to Arkansas this year. If you are not a willing defender, if you are not an able defender, if you're just not willing to leave it on the line on both ends of the floor, everybody wants to get buckets. If you're not willing to defend, you cannot get on the floor for Eric Musselman. And so this is why I love the commitment so much, because sometimes, you get caught up in a big brand like Arkansas. They've had tournament success. Everybody wants to go there, all that good stuff. But I just think it is a perfect match between player, style of play, how the guy plays, how the team plays. I think it is going to be really, really, really good. And I think that a lot of those championship type habits that were created at Houston, Tramon Mark is going to bring with him. That's one thing that I've really, picked up just talking to coaches over the last couple of years, is that there is something to coming from a program that has had winning success. I remember talking to a high major coach about this last offseason, and he said, even when I recruit low major, mid-major guys, I love to have them coming from winning programs. They know the work ethic. They know the time that has to be put in, the commitment, the off the court stuff, the weight training, the sleep, the food, the diet, all of that. That's what you get at a championship caliber level. And that's certainly what you get coming from Houston to Arkansas. So Tramon Mark, a veteran 4th-year college player, is going to bring that. And I'll be honest, I really like how this Arkansas team is starting to come together. Now, it's very early in the offseason, So there's a ton of moving parts, not only in Arkansas, but everywhere. But I bring it up because you look at this team. I'm telling you, I really like the pieces that are coming together. One, as I mentioned, Tramon Mark is the second transfer for Arkansas. They did receive a commitment from Keon Menafield over the last couple days, a player who just finished his freshman year at Washington, was an all Pac-12 guard, averaged double figures, 33% three-point shooter. But what I love about Keon Menafield, he's a little bit smaller, more of an on-the-ball kind of guard. He can play off the ball too. But what I love about Keon Menafield is he's the same as Tramon Mark, gets after it defensively. And when I start to think about Keon Menafield with Tramon Mark on the court together, that is already, right now this second, one of the best defensive backcourts in college basketball. And that's not even factoring in that Devo Davis, while he's testing the NBA draft waters, I think most of us expect him to return. I have no reason to believe that he won't. So you're talking about, at minimum, 2, maybe 3 elite wing and guard defenders. You add in, oh, by the way, Trevin Brazil, who I think could be a preseason All-American at Arkansas. Remember, he's averaging 12.6 rebounds per game, about 2 blocks per game this year on a loaded experience, just a really good Arkansas team early when they were fully healthy. He goes down with that knee injury. Well, now he's coming back. So you have him down low. You have Jalen Graham down low. You have Jalen Graham, the returnee, was an all Pac-12 guy 2 years ago at Arizona State. As I said, I think Devo Davis will probably be back. I think Joseph Pinion will be back. And then, oh, by the way, you also got a McDonald's All-American in Bay Falls, 6'11", super athletic, and a guard named Layden Blocker, another guy who gets after it on both ends of the court. So there's still a lot of moving parts. We'll see what happens with Devo Davis. I know one of the Mitchell twins already hit the portal. I think the assumption is both eventually will. And there's other moving parts too, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is that the group that Arkansas is going to have right now, we know they have 5-6 players: Menafield, Tramon Mark, who I'm talking about here, Trevin Brazil, Jalen Graham, Joseph Pinion, and the 2 freshmen. That is a really, really, really good place to start. And I'm telling you, this Arkansas team is going to be once again very dangerous going into next year. And I'll tell you, I think it's a little too early to get too crazy about way too early top 25 stuff. As far as all that's concerned, I already had Arkansas in the top 10. And listen, we'll see what everybody else does. Duke's got to make their moves, Kansas, Kentucky, whoever. But I'm telling you, this Arkansas team under Eric Musselman, it will be a team that, once again, will be good enough to get to a second weekend and maybe get to the school's first Final Four since 1995.